Hey, I'm about to build a live LinkedIn outreach system right in front of you. We start by filling out a form with the details of who we are targeting. From there, it actually scrapes thousands of leads from Apollo, pulls in their LinkedIn URLs, and automatically drops hyper-personalized connection messages that we can plug straight into our outbound campaigns. And if this is your first time here, my name is Michele, and over the past 12 months, I've helped over 40 businesses implement these sort of AI solutions and taught over 17,000 people in the process. So in this video, I'm going to build the full system step by step, show you all the detours and the mistakes I make along the way, so you get to see what an actual real development process of a project actually looks like. And if you stick around until the end, I'll even show you how you can get the whole system for free. With that being said, let's dive in. Okay, so as always, I'm going to run it from the start until the end, and then we're going to go to actually building it step by step. So let me execute the workflow. This will then bring me to the form right here. So let me say I am targeting real estate agencies in the US. I'm going to press submit. What this will do is it will send it to the first AI to generate a URL, which will then add or send to the scraper to then scrape the leads. And by leads, we mean LinkedIn URL. So we can see this is running right here because we're using Apify. As we can see here, we're starting to get results. Let me get the first name, last name, LinkedIn URLs, and the ID as well. Then we send it to the next node in order to extract the details. Then we only send 20 details of people, or we just send 20 people through the first loop. And then we draft a hyper-personalized connection message for that specific person based on their bio, based on who they are, and so on, before adding it to our Google Sheet database, which is where we store everything right here. So you can see we have the different first name, last name, the name as well, the LinkedIn URL, the title, the email status, the photo URL, and also the icebreaker that we can generate based on their profile. And if I go here, I can see that we're still running the system because we let 97 items through, and then we're sending 20 and 20 and 20 until it's actually finished. If I go here, I can see that we have more and more leads that are being added. So I'm going to stop the workflow right here because you got to see exactly what it is. By the way, these are just icebreaker, so connection messages that you send to the lead when you want to connect to them, which drastically increases the likelihood of them connecting back and you being able to have a conversation with that person and it being actually personalized. So let's start from scratch. Let me make a new workflow right here. Personal, there we go. Let me start from zero. But as always, as you guys know, we're going to be mapping things out step by step into our Miro. So let's dive in. All right, so here we can start mapping things out. Again, an automation has an input. Let me make this smaller. We can zoom in. And the output, right? And in this case, the input, because we want to basically, we want the thing to be dynamic. So it changes every single time. But the input in this case is who we are targeting. So target audience. And then we start thinking about how can we actually give it the input? Well, as you saw, we used n8n forms, but you could also use a Telegram message or a Gmail coming through or something else. So in this case, it can be target audience from n8n form. Okay. And then make this smaller. Let's put this like this. Cool. Then the next step is actually scraping the leads using Apify, which is a software that allows us to scrape leads. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. And then we want to be able to generate personalized connection message to that person. And then we want to be able to send it. So add details to Google Sheet database. Perfect. All right, so we have target audience from n8n form. Then we have scraping the leads using Apify. Then we have generate personalized connection message using the details, of course. And then we want to add everything to our Google Sheet database, which is the one right here. So what I like to do when I make automations is I actually like to go step by step and show you exactly my thought process, how I think through building automations, just so you can see everything. You can see the whole scope. So the first step here is target audience. So we need a way for us to be able to give the input. So as you saw before, I used an n8n form. So this is where we go to n8n and we start actually building the automation. So I'm going to add the first step, which is in this case called a trigger. A trigger is the thing that starts the automation. And we can go to on form submission right here. And this is where you basically make a form. Now the form can, or in this case, it can compile of the, I guess, describe your target audience or describe your audience that you want to target. So we can name this LinkedIn lead outreach trigger. Description can be insert an audience for your LinkedIn outreach campaigns. here. And then the form elements, which is in this case, what are we actually asking the user to input to then start the automation? We can add a field name called describe your audience in plain English. And we want to leave this as text. Yeah, text area. I actually don't know the difference between text and text area. I believe that this is wider text, so it can be long form rather than short text. So leave this as is. So we can leave this as is. And the placeholder can be company name, company types, sorry, location, etc. So this is the thing that they see before actually writing, which gives them some ideas as to what input they can give. And let's make this required. So now if I go to execute step, which means that I'm just testing the automation, it brings me to this page where I can see the title, the description, the first question, and then we can see that we have an area for us to actually make the text, which we can, oh, that's why. That's cool. So let's do, again, like we did before, real estate agencies in the US. I'm gonna press submit. As you can see, this is a test version of your form. And here we can see that we got the results, which is this right here. If you go to schema, we can see that we have it in this way, which is exactly what we need in order to go to the next step. All right, so once this is done, this is good. Let me go here and make this green. Again, because it's all step by step. We want to be scraping the leads. So based on the input, based on, what is it right here? Real estate agencies in US. We want to be able to then send it to Apify, which is apify.com, which is the one right here. And I like to think of Apify as the Amazon for scrapers. So you go here, you basically choose your product. In this case, it's a scraper. And for those of you who don't know what a scraper is, it's basically saying, let's say we do Google Maps scraper. This basically extracts. So it goes to Google Maps, it extracts the text, it extracts the location of businesses, the reviews, all the stuff that we want from that specific software. And then we can use it for whatever we want. And for us, for this automation, we want to be using Apollo. So Apollo is another software that allows us to be able to scrape LinkedIn profiles based on a specific criteria. So it can be real estate agencies in the US, which is the one that we have right here, right? We want to put this in, and the output, we want a list of leads. So for us to be able to do that, we have to make an account, and then you'll be able to come to this page right here. You have the Apify store. By the way, if you're asking yourself, is this paid or is this free? Well, the scraper that we're going to be using today is free depending on how much you use it. So the way that Apify works is that they give you $5 for free every single month. And the scraper that we're going to use is about $1 for 1,000 leads. Okay, so if you use $5, that means you will have 5,000 leads for free every single month. But anything that you use above $5, that's something that you're going to have to pay. Okay, so once we come to the Apify store, again, like an Amazon store, we just look for a product, and the product is Apollo Scraper. And then we have different options. So how do you know which one to choose? Well, the first thing I do is actually look at how many people used it and the price. This right here is good. I know Curious Coder is a guy who makes a lot of yeah, as you can see, he's already here as well. But the one that I used is actually this. I used it because of price, but also because of the amount of people that actually used it. And the way that this works is you pay this per event. So you pay per event. What this means is that you pay per usage. And the price is right here. So $1 for 1,000 leads. And you can do up to 50,000 leads, which is exactly what we like. And this page right here, it might look intimidating, is actually quite easy to understand. The only thing you have to understand here is like, what's the input? What is the thing that I'm giving the scraper in order for us to get the data back? Well, in this case, the input is the Apollo URL. Now, the Apollo URL is a URL. So let me show you here. Let me copy this and paste it. It's a URL that allows us to basically say, hey, we want this type of person, look, person, title, contact, email, exclude, catch all this stuff is a criteria for the person that we want to extract. And this will now make a list of leads that we can use for whatever we want. So the input here is the Apollo URL. That's the only thing that we have to get in order to give the scraper the thing that it needs to use to then give us the leads. Well, in this case, one thing we didn't add here is the AI that we use to make the URL, because the URL changes based on who we're targeting. So in this case, it can be AI to make Apollo URL. That way, when we put the target audience, we give it to AI. AI knows the framework of that URL and how it usually works. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here, because it is a very specific thing. And then we have the URL, which we can then feed into the scraper on Apify to then give us the leads back, give it to AI to make the personalized connection message. And then we can add all the details to the Google Sheet. All right, let me go back here. And now we can use the next node, which is an AI. So we can go AI. We're not using an AI agent because we just want the AI step. Let's use OpenAI. That's fine. And we're going to use message a model. And in order for us to be able to connect our OpenAI to n8n, we have to go to platform.openai.com, make an account, go to dashboard, go to API keys. On the top right, create a new secret key. You can go here, name it whatever you want. So n8n test. You will then have this key right here, which you can copy and paste it back here. API key. And don't worry about any of this, okay? The only thing you have to worry about is the API key. All right, once you connected your API key, let me take this off. We can do text, message a model. The model that we want to use is, let's say GPT-5. GPT-5, let's see if we have that. Because it is something that we don't want any errors on. Let's see if we have GPT-5 here. Yeah, let's do chat latest, the latest GPT-5 model. And for the prompt, I'm going to give it a system prompt, which is basically saying, hey, you are a identity, you are helpful, intelligent, whatever it is, and then a user prompt. So system, and I'm going to say, you're a helpful, intelligent sales assistant. And for the user prompt, I'm going to paste the prompt that I had before so you guys can see it. But again, you can grab the whole template at the end. I'll show you exactly how to do it. As you can see here, it says your task is to take as input a natural language description of a prospect audience and turn that into an Apollo search URL. Now, here's an example of an Apollo search URL. So I give it a few examples, not few, just an example right here. As you can see, it has United States, and this is in a very, very specific order, which Apollo likes when we want to be able to scrape leads. The URL describes a search for people that are located in the US, hold a title, owner, CEO, founder, and partner, have a keyword associated with creative agency. And these are the fields that you can change. Organization, location, keywords, person titles, and organization, number of employee ranges. Do not change any fields. Use the above template. Return your response in JSON using this format. Search URL goes here. Okay. So that way we basically say, hey, this is what the structure is like. These are the things that you can change. And as the last input, we're going to give it another user prompt, which is the target audience. Okay. So let me say, here is the audience I am targeting. And by the way, I just dropped it in from the form. So this is a variable that I can pull in here and then start the automation. And that's how automation fundamentally works, because it's all dynamic. It changes every single time. Because you see here, it might look like code because it is code, but it's just a variable from here. And then lastly, we have to output the content as JSON, because as you can see here, I told it to return your response in JSON because I just want a variable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to execute the step, which means I'm going to test this. And as you can see, I got the search URL, which I will then be using to give to the scraper to then be able to scrape the leads. So now that this is done, perfect. Let me rename this to generate search URL. The next step is actually using Apify to be able to scrape the leads. So I'm going to go here, look at Apify. I'm going to run an actor because again, those different things are actors, the scrapers. And then to connect your Apify, you have to go to create a new credential. You need an API key right here. I believe that you can get your API key on settings, API and integrations, and you can copy this default API token. And then you can paste it here, have the connection, and that's it. Once you connected it, which one is it? Okay, I'm going to bet on this one here. The actor is the thing that we're using. The action is run an actor. And then actor source, this is fine. Very, very important though. If you don't see it here, if you don't see it in the list, which I do, which is this one right here, you need to actually run this once because yours will say start and save. Once you start and save, it will run it once. That way you can actually save it to your account so you're able to see it here. And then the next thing it shows us is an input JSON. So if when you look at this, you're like, what the hell even is this? Well, if you go here to the input, there's two different ways that we can run scrapers in Apify. We can either use the platform itself and just run it and then get the data, or we can use it automatically within our automations or n8n or make.com or Zapier, whatever it is, to be able to automatically do it. And so because we're using n8n as our automation software, we have to give a JSON. So this right here is an input JSON, like the input that we give the scraper, which we can find right here, right? We can just copy this and we can delete this and we can paste it here. Okay. And the only thing that we have to change is this, because right now it's fixed. If I run this, it will always take this URL, but we want to change the URL based on the URL that we have here. So search URL, which we can drop in here. Okay. So copy this and put it here. I think this always happens. There we go. So now The green variable is this thing that changes every single time. And all these other ones are the same, apart from max search result, which we can leave to 100. Or actually, yeah, you can do 100. What this says is like, hey, scrape the leads. These are the maximum amount of leads that I want you to scrape, okay? And we do this because, as I mentioned, this is paid. So you basically want to maximize, or you want to limit, you want to limit the amount of leads that you want to scrape from that scraper, okay? So now, we have this, then we want to wait for finish, which means that we send the data, we then wait until we get the data back, and then we can move to the next steps. So I'm going to execute this step right here. Let me actually pin this, P, and then P. I'm going to run this. So you can see now this is running. And if I go to here, to runs, I can see that we have a new run running right here. And this is fundamentally how you test. You go to the Apify platform, and then you go back to n8n and so on. So now you can see that we got a list of leads. And I mentioned the maximum amount of result that I put was 100. So we're going to have to wait until we get 100, or we can just simply stop the automation and just test. That's how I usually do it. But let's wait until we get 100 result to then be able to go to the next steps. All right, we can see here that we have 97 results, close to 100. And if I go to n8n, at any second now, we should be able to get the run or finish the results of the run. All right, we got 100. Let me go here. And at any second now, we should see the output that is generated. Cool. So as you can see, this is what we get out of the scraper. But the one thing about Apify that most people get confused about is they start thinking, where are the leads? Like, where do they come? Well, there's an additional step that we have to do before we actually get the leads. Because right here, this is running the actor. Once we finish running the actor, what we get is something called a default dataset ID, which you can find here. Default dataset ID. This is the ID that we then give to the next node, which is, let me pin this real quick so I don't have to run this again. The Apify get dataset items right here. Same connection, dataset, get all items. And now we give the ID to this node, which is the one below here, to then be able to extract the details from that output. And I'm going to put the limit to 500. I'm going to execute the step. So you can see now we get 100 items, which are the 100 leads, which is first name, last name, LinkedIn URL, title, email status, photo URL, Twitter. We get employment history. We get a bunch of stuff, employment history, a bunch of employment history. We get street address, we get organization, we get a bunch of stuff. We get everything about the actual profile, which is amazing. And once this is done, then we have to go to the next steps. So let me go here. Let me make this green. Let me make this green. The next step is actually generating a personalized connection message using AI. Now, there's only one thing in between this and the AI. Because when we think about this, if I just add an AI step, so AI, OpenAI, message model, and so on, right? Let me just configure this later. This will basically send 100 items all at the same time to the AI. And if you wanted something more scalable, ideally you want to send maybe 20 at first and then loop back and do another 20 and another 20, another 20 until it's finished. Because then you give it space, you give it time or room to breathe to then be able to actually generate a better output or for it not to fail. So in order for us to be able to send only 20 at a time and then it finishes the whole thing and then goes back and 20 at a time, we use something called loop over items. So if I go to loop over items right here, the only thing that this asks you is, hey, how many items do you want to send through at a time? Well, in this case, we want to send 20, right? Let me delete this. So you can go here, delete and delete. And now using the loop output, we're gonna go here. And it's basically saying, hey, okay, we have 100 items. If I run this, it should run or not. Oh, it shouldn't run, yeah, because this is just the actual node. Or it should run. Then it shows us that out of 100 items, it only sent 20 items through. So that we have 20 items, and then we use AI to generate the personal message. We then give it to the Google Sheets. Then we send it back here and get the next 20 items and do the whole thing again until it's actually finished. And this works for any amount of items, even if you have 5,000. It will always loop back, right? And this is a cheat code that I like to use whenever you want to make your automations more scalable over time. Because again, adding one more step, you're not going to pay more because the n8n you pay by workflow execution, not by step, which is exactly why I like to use this. So now we want to be able to generate connection message. Okay. If I go in here, again, you already connected your OpenAI on this step. So you can use the same exact connection. Let's just use GPT-4.1. Yeah, you can use this 4.1 mini. I think it's good. And the user, so in this case, system prompt first, because we always use a system prompt to give it an identity to make itself think that it actually is that thing and the quality of output would be better, is you are a helpful intelligent writing assistant. And this is always how you should structure your prompts. Always a system prompt first, and then, sorry about that, and then a user prompt, and then you can do another user prompt or whatever it is you have to do. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to be writing the prompts from scratch again. I'm going to paste them here and then show you exactly why they're there and how they work. All right, so I just pasted the prompt. Let's go through one by one. We have a system prompt, as I wrote before. Then we have the user prompt, the first one, which is your task is to take an input of a bunch of LinkedIn profiles. And then you basically have to return an icebreaker. So the icebreaker is the connection message. In order to ensure the icebreaker are punchy and high quality, make them follow this template. So we give it a template that they can use. And it can say, hey name, love seeing thing about them. So you can say something specific about them. I'm also into plausible tie-in, which is something more specific about them. And then you can say think about them and plausible tie-in. Never use the extract information provided in LinkedIn field. Instead, always paraphrase. This makes it seem more human written. And basically give it like few instructions that they can use. But this is essentially the structure that we use. Okay, and these variables are the thing that we change every single time that the AI is smart enough to change when we give it the actual data from that person. The next prompt that we give it is another user prompt. So now this is where we start to get to examples. So this is where we start to use the assistant prompt. The first thing is a user and then assistant. So in this case, we're giving it an example because we wanted to, I guess, have something in mind that it can come back to as expectations of what we expect the output to be. So we give it an example, in this case, LinkedIn Fields, Danielle, founder and CEO, creative agency, regional sales director, previous experiences. And then we actually give an assistant prompt, which is the output that we should expect in JSON, which is, hey, Danielle, love seeing your creative agency journey. I'm also building brands, thought I'd connect. Something short and sweet, very, very personalized and very human, right? Which is what we want. So we give it a user and assistant. And then lastly, we give it the actual data that we want it to use to be able to then make the icebreaker. So LinkedIn fields can be first name, the last name, which we get from here. The first name, last name, LinkedIn URL, title. I believe that we have previous experience. So the company they work for, and there's a bunch of fields here. Again, if you get the template, you can copy it like literally word for word and prompt by prompt. So you don't have to do this again, but we give it different fields, as you can see here, for it to use to then make the icebreaker. Okay. So now let me pin this. Let me pin this. I think I can pin this. No, I can't pin this. And let me execute this step. So now I'm testing this. All right. So the output was done. And as you can see here, I actually messed up because I forgot to turn this on. So you can see here, the content that we got was actual JSON. Well, we don't want the actual JSON. We want this right here. Right, so what we do to fix that is turn this on. And now if we execute this step again, what this should do now is it should actually output the icebreaker, not in JSON, but as an actual sentence. All right, so you can see here we have the icebreaker, different from before because it's not in JSON anymore. It's an actual, like something that we can actually use. And lastly, this is where we get to the Google Sheet. So this right here, all good. And now we get to the Google Sheet part. Let's go here, press plus, Google Sheet. Append a row in a sheet. First of all, make your connection. Just sign in with Google. Or yeah, sign in with Google right here. It will take you to a page like this. You can choose your account and then it will come back, say it's successful and everything's good. Now, I already made the sheet, but I'm going to make it again because I want to show you exactly what it looks like, even making the sheet. Let's go to sheets.new, quick hack to make a new Google Sheet. And then as you can see, we need different fields. So if I go here, I can see that the different fields are ID, first name, last name, LinkedIn URL. So ID, first name, last name. Let's do LinkedIn URL because I noticed that this was just a name, the first name as well. Then we have title, email status. I don't know if you need this because there's no email that we're getting. So title, photo URL, and icebreaker. Title, photo URL, and then connection message. Let me make this dark blue, make this white. Let me make it look pretty. Perfect. Go here. And then quick hack, view this, freeze up to row. So if I go like this, I can still see it. All right. So now that we have this, I can do connection message, LinkedIn, n8n YouTube tutorial, a really long name, just so I know exactly what this is. If I go back here, I can see that now I can, the resource is the sheet within the document. Then we want to append a row. Append just means add. And then the document that we want to use is the connection message, LinkedIn, n8n YouTube tutorial. There we go, right here. And the sheet will be sheet 1. We want to map each column manually. And now this is where we start adding the different fields. So I can go to ID. Yeah, this is the ID. I think. Yeah, this is the ID. Let me go first name. First name. Right here. Last name. And again, you could spend a few minutes like trying to figure out where everything is right here. I just like to put everything here. I mean, you could also do this, right? Or title or photo URL. Yeah, maybe I was just tripping. Maybe we should do this. It saves more time. And then the icebreaker is the thing that we use as the connection message. And I think that's it, right? And let's rename this. Add leads to Google Sheets. Let me save this. And now you see this ends. This right here now needs to go back to loop of items behind. There we go. So that we loop 20 and then we go back here, get the next 20, the next 20, the next 20 until we get these many items. Okay, so we do everything. We basically split it. We loop over items. That's what this is. All right, so let me execute this step. Let me test this thing right here. I should be able to see different leads coming through. If I don't, then something is wrong. We can fix it. Okay. This has to run first. And then we can wait for everything to go to the Google Sheet. All right, now it's running. You can see that now we have the different leads. So ID, first and last name, LinkedIn URL. Let's go here. There you go. Gino, what is up, my man? Real estate agency. There you go. This is so good. I mean, you can actually just... Oh, I can't. Yeah, you can actually just connect to them. So connect, add a note, and then literally just go here. No, here. Copy this, go here, paste it, and then actually just send it. Let me actually just send it. There we go. Boom. And that's it. And that's how your outbound campaigns can actually run. And you can do this for every single one. And the best thing is, you saw me do it manually, but there's so many softwares that can automate this. So you simply can have a machine running through in the backend that's personalized, like hyper personalized to each person. Because again, you can only send 30 connections a day, maximum. I mean, you can, but you risk getting banned on LinkedIn. So if you have an automated platform, you can only send 30 a day. So 30 times 30, 900. Like typically you'd only need 900 leads right here every single month. God, why do I keep going back to this? You would only need 900 leads right here every single month that you can go through. And again, we can scrape 5,000 for free every single month. So this is literally a no-brainer. Like everyone should be using this if you want to I guess, run a campaign or run something in the backend that can work. Because the alternative is just you doing it manually. All right, and as always, if you want the exact blueprint, so you can import it into your own n8n account right here, you can import from file. And you want the exact Google Sheet as well. So you have everything ready to go. And all you have to do is really just configure your Apify and your OpenAI platform and Google Sheets. You can go to my free school community, first link down below. You can go to the classroom section, go to the templates vault. Then you'll see the latest video. So let's say it's Instagram Parasite System. You will then see a button here, which is download the n8n automation blueprint, which you can then download into your own account. And if you have no clue how to do it, no worries at all. I even left a tutorial right here, importing blueprint to n8n. And if you apply to get in and get accepted, you also get access to the Automations 101 course, which is a very comprehensive course that takes a real beginner in AI automation to someone who's actually able to build automations for themselves or for other businesses. And quick disclaimer, the community is free, but not everyone gets in. As you can see, we have a wait list of about 260 people. So please, please, please put some thoughts into your answers before you apply to maximize the chances that you can go out there and crush it from day one. And if you like this sort of videos where I actually show you the whole process of me building the automation step by step, then leave a like and a comment down below telling me exactly or giving me some ideas as to what systems you want me or you want to see me build for the next videos. And if you want to see more videos like this, then make sure to check out this video on the screen where I build a full 7-figure hiring system using Notion and n8n. With that being said, I hope you found value from this video and I'll see you in the next one.